Alright, this is the very last episode of Fear Itself, episode 13, The Circle. Another one of the episodes that never aired on NBC when this series first premiered in 2008. And it starts off pretty interesting. It looks like it's going to be another Halloween episode. We just had one of those 2 episodes ago with the Spirit Box. But that's fine. This is a horror series. They're going to do a lot of Halloween episodes. But they do kind of trick you. We start with these 2 trick-or-treaters. These 2 girl trick-or-treaters that go to a house and find that this house is having a seance. A circle, if you will. A bunch of witches sitting in a circle, chanting and cutting themselves and dripping it into this chalice. So far, this is a pretty interesting setup. I like werewolf stories and I like witch stories a lot. It visually looks really good. They have a big cast of actresses, so you assume they're obviously going to use this set a lot more. They're going to use these actresses a lot more. No, you get this at the beginning and that's pretty much it. So after this interesting setup, where these witches kind of ensnare these 2 girls that are trick-or-treating and get them into their coven, we switch to the location where the rest of the episode takes place, which is a cabin in the middle of the woods, with a struggling writer by the name of Brian. Seems like they're kind of trying to do a Stephen King-esque story mixed with a little bit of Evil Dead, and the witches are nowhere to be seen.
Bloodthirsty. Over 5 million copies sold just in the US. But after a year of absolute silence, millions of readers, not to mention your publisher and your lovely agent, need to know, where's the next book?
You can watch all 13 episodes of Fear Itself for free on YouTube under the YouTube Movies and TV tab, or just type in Fear Itself, The Circle. What Brian thought was going to be a nice vacation in this cabin in the woods actually turns into kind of an intervention where his editor, Anita, pounds her way through the door demanding for him to turn in the manuscript for his next book. His first book, Bloodthirsty, apparently sold millions and millions of copies and made her tons of money. But they paid him in advance $500,000 for the next one, and they need the second book. The problem is, Brian does not have a second book. So this isn't really a gathering of friends in the middle of the woods. This is really kind of bloodthirsty literary agents and managers that have come to hound Brian and get this book out of him. All seem to be set up by his girlfriend, Robbie.
Trick or treat.
Come from...
And find that it's the 2 girls that we saw earlier in the episode. They actually hand Brian and his friends a book that looks like the Necronomicon. It's not the Necronomicon, it's Brian's new novel. But they're obviously doing a nod to the Evil Dead here. And Brian spends way too much time claiming it's not his book, it's not his book, it's not his book. And they start reading the thing, and a huge mist, huge black tar mist, encircles the entire cabin. So we have Evil Dead, Cabin in the Woods, Necronomicon, and we'll see some zombies.
What the hell? Like the dog.
Now they have this black mist that moves along the floor, kind of like tar, that has enveloped the entire cabin. And they refer to it as the darkness. That Brian's previous novel, Bloodthirsty, is starting to come alive. In fact, in this episode, 2 of his novels come alive. The first one, his best-selling novel, which he did not write, the witches wrote it. He kind of sold his soul for that one, as they say. And then this new novel that these 2 trick-or-treaters just delivered to them, that, once again, Brian has no recollection of writing, because he didn't write it. Brian is a phony, a fraud writer. Also, this episode takes place in Maine, which they mentioned many times, as another hint towards Stephen King, who always, of course, has writers in his novels and sets everything in Bangor, Maine. So here's where we get their attempt at Evil Dead. If you touch this darkness, this tar that is seeping in through the door and the windows, Brian has a genius idea to put some towels next to the window and under the doors to make sure the darkness doesn't come through. This, of course, doesn't work. If you touch this darkness, you will turn into a darkness zombie. So that's basically what happens for the rest of the episode. They battle these darkness zombies. And it's done pretty poorly. In fact, I found myself laughing more than scared every time someone turned into a zombie.
Everything that's written comes to pass, right? So if I rewrite it, I can
Change the ending.
Are you saying that your novel is coming to life?
It attacks a small town in the middle of Maine, and if it infects you, you become...
The story in that book is coming true. Fates have already been decided.
Give me a flashlight! In the bathroom.
I need to get a chair.
There's also an error somebody put up on IMDb. It says, when Kate is put in the bathroom, the door's closed and a chair jammed under the doorknob on the outside. That would normally work, but the bathroom door opens in, not out. The chair would have no effect. It would just fall in. Let's see. Is this person right? Yeah, of course they're right. The bathroom opens in. Can't put a chair to block the door. I feel like I get more uncharitable as the episodes go by. I think I might actually give this a 3. It's close to a 4, and I'll read some reviews in a second. The effects are pretty decent. There's some CGI that's used here. It's 2008, so I think it looks fine for an NBC television show. But while I love The Evil Dead, this is just kind of a third-rate attempt at zombies or the infected or the darkness knocking people off in a cabin in the woods. I almost think they try to do too much. It starts with the witches. You never hear from them again, even though that's the best 2 minutes of the entire episode, is them doing their, the camera circling around these witches as they're doing a seance and casting spells on people. They try to throw a twist in at the end where I guess one of the witches, though it's not really clear, comes back and says she was having an affair with Brian. And the action scenes are loud, they're fast, but outside of just making things super loud to induce a jump scare, they're not very scary, well done, choreographed, and they're kind of silly. They put a monster in the bathroom and then put a chair against the door to stop them. They try to put towels against the wall to stop the darkness from coming in. We get a bleak ending where they have to keep repeating this night over and over again. And another problem is they just don't give them any tools to fight these monsters with. They have absolutely nothing. And this cabin is being crushed by this void that's coming in on them. And then even the one smart idea he has to try to rewrite the book, rewrite the ending, doesn't even work. And if you want the viewer to think these people are going to escape from a situation, you have to actually give them some tools to be able to escape. So we'll read some reviews, and then that will be the conclusion of Fear Itself. All 13 episodes. It does end on a bit of a whimper, but this is definitely a series worth watching, and you can watch it for free, as I mentioned before. And it's unfortunate it wasn't given a chance after Masters of Horror to continue.
And everything returned to the way it had been at 9:45 that happened now.
And around they went,
Trick or treat.
in a great, big circle. Cursed for eternity, to relive this Halloween night again.
Alright, let's look at some reviews. 6 out of 10, the conclusion of one of the weakest TV series ever produced and one of the poorest DVD box ever released. This part's incorrect. This part is true though. Yeah, the DVD is ridiculous. It's double-sided. They don't label the episodes at all, and they're all out of order. It's an anthology show, but it'd still be nice to know from when they first premiered to last, just so you have some idea. Especially if this series went on for many, many years, you'd want to know what episode came out in 2008 and what episode came out in 2015, let's say. Fortunately, this only lasted from 2008 to sprinkling into 2009. Brian is a writer of one bestseller and nothing else that has a block. He travels with his wife Lisa to an isolated cabin on Halloween expecting to write again, and Lisa invites their friends Anita, Kate, and George to visit them and help Brian. The Circle is the conclusion of Fear itself. This is one of the weakest TV series ever produced and one of the poorest DVD box ever released by Universal. The Circle is one of the best episodes with dark story and conclusion. My vote is 6. Wow, that conclusion is really all over the place, isn't it? This series sucks. DVD sucks, but actually this episode's good. Save the best for last. I researched the director, and let's say he's a bit unknown. But what an episode he delivers. I can easily say this is based on Evil Dead. It certainly is. Friends turning into demons after receiving a book called The Circle. I won't spoil the plot, but it's really great. There's suspense and blood, and we already know that that isn't really available in the series. It even has some creepy shots, and the use of shaky cameras didn't bother me at all. Yeah, pretty much all the action scenes are using the kind of shaky cameras. In fact, I almost wish they'd slowed it down a little bit. Get some slower zombies, some creepier moments, rather than everything just going and then dying. Worst of the bunch. I'll keep this brief. This entry into an already poor collection is the worst of the bunch. This episode failed on every front. Cinematography, writing, acting, dialogue, score, and once again, and especially, the writing. The scenario and one of the main scares is clearly ripped off from a cult horror film that any fan will immediately recognize. Which one? Oh, Evil Dead. The plot is just a series of gaping holes strung together. Yeah, it is kind of just like they got like 10 different writers and they all wrote different stories. There's some witches, and then there's also a writer, but the writer has never written anything, but then he sold his soul to the devil or this witch coven, so they wrote the book for him, but then he has this book that's coming alive, his first book that he never wrote, but then he has a second book that they just deliver to him, but he's never read the second book, so he doesn't know what's in it. I spent nearly the entire thing saying, what? To myself and trying to figure out if it was made to be intentionally terrible and waiting for the punchline. It definitely was not. It never came. I could sit here and list all the ridiculous holes in Slappy's mistakes, like barricading a door from the wrong side. Yeah. Yet somehow the barricade keeps the thing trapped in the room. Yeah, we pointed that one out. The effects look good. I agree. That's why it gets a 3 instead of a 1. This person give it a 3? Oh yeah, me too. They had even the sadistic touch of making Ashley Scott repeating the same line for almost 3 minutes. Man, come on. No wonder there will never be a second season. Well, this one never even aired. So, as I pointed out before, this has no bearing on there not being a second season. That was the Olympics' fault. They wanted to show the Olympics instead of this series. But yeah, repeating the same line for almost 3 minutes. So they gotta have like a deja vu thing where she just keeps at the end, keeps saying that they're gonna repeat this Halloween night over again and again and again and again. Like a Groundhog Day situation. And yeah, they do it a lot. That is true. That it's at least filmed kind of well, but alright. Weak CGI and makeup effects, 4 out of 10. Stereotype characters, weak ending to a weak season. Oh, finally, a positive episode. The gorgeous Ashley Scott as Brian's loyal wife, Lisa. She's alright. Victoria Pratt as vengeful witch, Robin Collins. The expected dark ending hits the satisfyingly grim spot. I didn't really like it, because they just repeat. They just repeat that night over and over and over and over again, and seemingly can never get out of it. Well, that's the entire series of Fear itself. All 13 42-minute episodes. And I think it's definitely worth watching. Next up, we're going to do an anime series, Cowboy Bebop, which has 26 episodes, and we'll go through that pretty fast. Finish Tales from the Dark Side, and then start on the entire Goosebumps series. Thanks for watching. Hopefully get monetized this year. Damn.
It's gonna be